Welcome to episode 4. Today, we are sending Jonus Kerman here on a flyby around the moon, a historic first mission. So we take off here, and we've got a pretty big rocket here. It's kind of similar to our orbital mission, except we've got another stage on top of there. And this thing might have enough delta V, if I fly carefully, to actually land on the moon. Although it might be a little bit difficult to return if we did that. But we have the lunar flyby contract. We stage there. And yeah, we just go on a nice gravity turn here to get into a nice orbit around Kerbin. So this is a pretty good step forward in our mission, in our program here. And with the science that we get from this, we should be able to unlock lots more things, so that we'll be able to actually, eventually orbit the moon and land there. And potentially in the future even go to some place like Minmus. I know, it's so far-fetched and futuristic, right? Minmus, just that little blue dot in the sky that makes the Kerbals think of ice cream and mint and whatever else it makes them think of. It's green, like they are. Although I always thought it was more of a cyan tealish. But anyway, I digress. We are going to the moon today. The moon, not Minmus. The one that is actually visible from the ground, that you can make out surface features on. Yeah, I don't know what other grand moments, I'm not like the Artemis 2 crew. I can't come up with this kind of stuff on the spot. You'd have to let me sit by and come up with some profound speech. But I am not here to do that. I am here to talk and fill space while Jonas goes to space. Haha, so funny, right? Anyway, ignoring all of that, this is a pretty good approach. Gravity turn, all that, standard procedure. Really, there's not really a reason for me to make you watch this launch. I kind of did fast forward through the orbital one and fly through that in IVA. So it is kind of nice that we can actually see this from the outside. We are getting a little bit of heating there, going kind of fast, so we throttle back. Enjoy the visual effects from scatterer, firefly, waterfall. Environmental visual enhancements is what's giving us the clouds and the cities there. Although the cities do kind of look a little bit weird from space. They kind of clip through the clouds sometimes, but it's fine. It's worth it. So yeah, getting pretty close now to a good suborbital trajectory so that we can later go into orbit. And I'm kind of pitching up above the prograde vector there, not only to raise my apoapsis and kind of bring up the time to apoapsis to about a minute, but to also use some of the natural aerodynamic tendencies of this vehicle to help us go upwards. And yeah, enjoy the view from inside. At some point, I'll probably fly the moon landing from IVA, because that will be a fun and interesting challenge. Now that we're above 50 kilometers, we can safely extend that antenna. So Jonas here is a scientist, he's not a pilot. But we do have SAS control, and that is coming from the little probe core that I have on top of the capsule there. Probably not the greatest for aerodynamics, considering that it is kind of a rectangular, I guess octagonal shape. But we have that parachute on top of there, and it just fits too nicely. It gives us a nice opportunity to fly scientists and engineers, even though we don't have any engineers yet. So we stage and just get ready for our orbital insertion. Check the staging. Don't want my parachutes coming on too early. And we get ready to finish this orbital insertion. So we have, I'm going for about 80-90 kilometer apoapsis. And, this is pretty good. All of my orbital insertions from this point are like this. So at this point, yeah, we have the good apoapsis. We just now wait until we're out of the atmosphere, and then we have the fast time warp. And then we're just gonna, get ready, get into our nice circular 80 by 80 orbit. So yeah, now I've sped this all up here because I'm not gonna make you watch all of it. We just go to apoapsis, finish our orbital insertion, with a nice circular orbit there. and then orient our solar panels. We are still under the part limit. It was pretty hard to design this thing with only 30 parts allowed. But, it meant we only had to have 2 solar panels, so we actually have to be pretty conscientious about our orientation here so that he doesn't die from electricity. And then, we get our flyby encounter set up. So what I end up deciding to go for is a free return trajectory. So we're coming around the front side, the leading edge of the moon, instead of the trailing edge. And what that does is it means when we swing around the moon, we're going to be going in the opposite direction that the moon rotates naturally. So this is not good if you want to... It's less efficient for if you want to land or go into orbit, because it means you have to kill more of your velocity. But it is good when you have things to concern about, like, your engine's not firing or your fuel is running out. Because it basically guarantees, if you plot the trajectory correctly, that no matter what, if your engines fail to fire, you will end up returning safely. And now we are in high space, so we have the ability to take some crew science, which we haven't gotten. So as a reminder, in the last episode, we launched that sounding rocket to get up to this altitude, but we've never sent a Kerbal up this high. Jonus here is breaking all sorts of distance records. Most of the science we already have, because of that mission. But now we'll get Jonus to get out of the capsule here. Admire the view inside briefly. Have our own little Artemis 2 moment there. Yeah, there's the horizon. There's our beautiful home planet and its oncoming sunset. So he hops out, takes an EVA report. What does his Kerbal eye see? All of Kerbin stretches out before you. You wonder what's happening far away on the rolling hills below. You must have really good eyes, Jonus, because I can't really see the hills because it's nighttime. But we'll take all of the experiments. Because he is a scientist, we can actually reset those one-time use, the materials bay and the mystery goo, which is why we brought him here. And he'll also increase our science returns. And at this point, we just warp ahead until we're actually arriving at the moon for our flyby encounter, watching it swell up. And there we have an eclipse of the planet Kerbin. How fascinating, how marvelous. Draining our electric charge, well, we don't care about that because it's too good of a view, and we're not also going to be in the dark for that long. Coming now, watching the moon get larger and larger. I always love how, you can always see these places from the ground, but then when you actually swing by and you get the perspective on it and you see the parallax and whatnot, and you can, see parts of it that you've never seen before, it seems like a real place, and that kind of changes your view of it. We've got Jewel there, over there. And now we're in the moon space. So we are now high over the moon. So it's time for science. The temperature of space is quite impossible as there is no matter around to be hot or cold, except the spacecraft and the thermometer itself. The R&D guys will be busy with a while. The instrument reads 0. It's as if we were in a vacuum. The goo is less dense here. You decide to put off writing the report until you reach the dark side of the moon. There won't be much to see, and you'll be able to concentrate better. Wouldn't you want to be on the light side? Because then, you can actually see. You do you, Jonus. You do you. You seem like an interesting guy. You look back at Kerbin. I looks rather small. You? What? No, he's pretty big. He takes up maybe a 20th of the spacecraft. That is actually pretty nice to put things into perspective. Just how much space he actually occupies on this thing and just the size of it all. I feel like in a lot of the how you see spacecraft and pictures and models and mock-ups, you never really get an appreciation for just how large these things can actually be. And we can say all of these sizes, like that the Saturn V is 365 feet or 36 stories tall. But that doesn't actually mean anything until you can actually see how large it is for yourself. You gave up counting the craters when you ran out of fingers for the 9th time. Yeah, there's a lot. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, I'd run out of fingers too pretty quickly. There's a lot. Too many, even. Can we see the moon from here? The moon? Let's roll around. It's on the other side of the sun, I think. Is it not? Where is it? Oh, yep. There it is. Wow. What a sight to behold. Kerman's nearest neighbor, and it's just there, hanging in space, hanging in the void. Let's see if we can see our home. Yeah, oh wow, that's a sight. Yes, I'm sure he's... close that. I'm sure he's stuck here just watching this, waiting until he comes back over the horizon. He can send all of his great pictures. Yes, it's beautiful. You can really zoom in pretty far in this view. And after that point, I started talking about, the whole social, cultural, societal impacts of the first images of the Earth from the moon as this one whole thing, and about, the image of the whole Earth as one unit really came from those missions, and being able to see the Earth as a human for the first time from afar as just one little thing. All of that about the whole overview effect. We missed the Earth set there on our flyby, but we are here for science, and science we will do. And we're going to go low over the moon. So conduct the materials bay. We're going to see if we've reached low space. Nope, we're still high over the moon. We will not be able to transmit our crew science, unfortunately, because we are over the horizon. We're behind the moon. So we will have to get the low crew science from another mission. But we have all of these other experiments while we're here. Let's see, are we near yet? Yes, we are. The thermal data sadly put away your flip-flops. Yes, on this side of the moon, it's probably, I don't know, minus a few hundred degrees. Perfect summer weather, if you ask me. I mean, as of recording this, it's May, and there's snow outside. Crater below. What craters? I don't see anything. Goo feels right at home here. Fascinating. Now, a lot of people like to turn up the ambient light. I personally don't. It feels more immersive that way. Like, I can't see anything. It's just us floating here right now. You can see the stars if you squint. But I think this is just much more awesome if you can't actually see anything. Makes me feel like I'm actually there, I don't think we will have any other data to collect from here, but I'm going to take it all anyway and restore them. Oh, I seem to have bumped it here. Did I take an EVA report? I didn't. I wonder if it tastes like cheese. Nah, Minmus though. I will say, if your cheese looks like Minmus, I think you should consider not eating it. I don't think there's a lot of cheese that looks that blue. Even blue cheese is not really that shade of cyan. So now what I'm doing here is just making sure that our free return actually returns us. The better time to do this burn would have probably been either during or before our closest approach to the moon, just to make sure that we are getting the maximum benefit of the Oberth effect, which of course states that because kinetic energy is 1/2 times your mass times your velocity squared, you actually gain more energy by firing your engines when you are fastest. And as we know, you are faster when you are closer to a gravitational well, which means that you get a lot better performance out of your engines when you can fire them closer to something like the moon or the planet Kerman. So now for our entry, they're coming in at the fastest any Kerbal has ever gone. And something about the layout of this, I don't know if it's the barometer or something was asymmetric here. And the capsule kept overheating as it got a few degrees, like not even a few, maybe even half a degree out of the retrograde vector orientation. So we cut it close a few times, but I wasn't even too aggressive with our entry there. And we've actually skip out of the atmosphere a little bit. And we don't completely exit the atmosphere here. What we end up doing is kind of just coasting basically halfway around the planet. I was excited because we would be coming down on the day side, but we end up coasting so far and so high that we end up not really slowing down at all. And so you can see there, the sun is going down, and we're approaching the terminator, and we end up actually passing over it. So we end up landing on the night side of the planet, which is not really what I wanted from this. But, what can you do? Just learn and do better on our next missions. Have a lower periapsis so that it doesn't happen again. So we coast down, we free fall. There go the clouds. The clouds do look a little bit weird in the night like this. They're kind of black and ominous. We come down, wait for the parachutes to open at about 1 kilometer. We're coming over a pretty interesting area here, one of the rare biomes on Kerbin, which is the Badlands. It's not someplace we've ever been to and is pretty small, actually. So we'll be able to collect some more science when we actually touch down and land here. And now that we've done that, let's take some pressure. We consult the readings, tells you the mission control calls and commands to know if you're on Kerbin, because apparently the Badlands are bad like that. And we get all these life support warnings. I don't actually know what the deal with that is. Temperature is nominal, EVA. And it seems we're on our home planet. So we get off, take off that helmet. Take off the helmet, remove the neck ring. Let's plant a flag. Let's commemorate this achievement. Come on, Jonus, you've made history. What poetic words have you come up with on your long voyage? Badlands. We are in the Badlands. Certainly, the mission out to the moon and back has greatly improved his powers of perception. That was quite the astute observation there, and I'm honestly impressed at the quality of the reports that he's providing. Let's call the recovery team. Let's get out of here. Celebrate back home at the party. That's sure to happen. And we got a whole lot of science from that. 400 science there. Enough money to upgrade the vehicle assembly building so that we can finally build bigger and more complex vehicles. And enough to unlock a bunch of whole new technologies here. Things like fairings, landing gear, better things for our planes. A bunch of fuel systems, bigger fuel tanks, bigger engines. There's some empty nodes here that I'll have to deal with. But we're able to take our pick here and just unlock a ton of stuff. And now that we have fairings, we'll be able to actually launch some probes and satellites into space. We'll be able to put together a communications network, but that will all be in future episodes. Until next time.